Hello, how's it going? Been a minute, but I decided to jump on here and record something because it's a bit of a pressing issue in gaming news. I'm gonna turn a little bit this way so there's more licht going over here. So there was some drama between a Bungie dev and pretty much the entire player base of Diablo 4. Now, if you do not play Diablo 4 and you don't play Destiny, this is probably not going to be interesting. But I saw this. I didn't even know about it till about an hour ago. There's a Destiny 2 YouTuber called Astacross, really funny guy. If you do play Destiny and you're not subbed to him, you really need to. But he made a video about it, and I thought, hell, why not? I will throw my 2 cents into this absolute shit show because I don't mind controversy. So a Bungie dev who plays Diablo 4, right, made a tweet saying that Diablo 4 had, and I'm paraphrasing this, Diablo 4 had was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for him as far as enemy scaling is concerned. And he called it lazy. He said it was a lazy system, a lazy mechanic. And that blew up the Twitter sphere, the gaming side of the Twitter sphere. Now, I watched Astacross's video on it, and he said he could see it from both sides, and he defended both sides. Now, my 2 cents. I played Destiny 1 from beta more or less until the end of its life cycle. I didn't play, with the exception of the Dark Below and Rise of Iron, I think. I played Taken King. I didn't play Dark Below. I didn't play Rise of Iron, but I played other things in it, Strikes, and I was still playing the game. I just didn't have the DLCs. Played Taken King. Pre-ordered and played Destiny 2 from beta. Played it for a while, religiously up until Forsaken, got out of it, came back for Shadowkeep, got out of it, came back for Beyond Light, and since Beyond Light I've been mainlining the game. It's become my most played game, it's not even close. I play a lot of Destiny 2. Backstory for Diablo, never played it till Diablo 4. Never touched it, never really cared very much. I saw that same YouTuber, Astacross, play Diablo, and I was like, wow, this looks really interesting. I like rich worlds and deep lore, and so I was like, yeah, I'll play this. So, with the backstory out of the way, now, let's get into this. My first thought is that the tweet was correct. I think it's correct. However, I think the way that the Bungie dev phrased it sort of it poison pilled the position he was trying to take, because he said that it was lazy, and he also singled out Diablo 4. Now, he wasn't saying it was only in Diablo 4. He did say in that same tweet that it was something he'd seen in other games, and he didn't mention them. He mentioned Diablo 4. So it seemed like he was attacking Diablo 4. Now, anybody who's an individual who can rub two brain cells together can figure out that's not what he's doing. He's highlighting clearly this mechanic that's used in Diablo 4, but is also used in other games, and how it's a problem for him personally as a gamer in all of these other games. Now, my thoughts on that. I agree. I think level scaling it's not the worst thing in the world, and it can be implemented in a way that it doesn't sort of suck all of the fun out of the game. But it is unfortunate that it's so aggressive in Diablo. It almost feels like skill-based matchmaking in COD on the Activision side of Activision Blizzard, right? Skill-based matchmaking has become something in Call of Duty that has become so pronounced. It's so obvious, and it's such a powerful mechanic that they use for the multiplayer in these COD games. And you can see it in real time. You can see how it works. You can have a game where you absolutely pop off, and the next game you get destroyed, and then the game after that you pop off again, and then you drop again. And you can see what it's doing is the skill-based matchmaking algorithm is trying to suss out exactly where you sit so that you win enough to keep playing and lose enough so that you want to play another game to win, right? Enemy scaling feels similar in a sense. Um, in Diablo, in that it's so aggressive. It doesn't have the same function, but it's aggressive. And I would argue that it has more negatives than benefits. For example, going back to skill-based matchmaking, the whole point of that is to keep you playing. The whole point of having skill-based matchmaking is so that you win. Ideally, you should win as many games as you lose, or win slightly more. Enough to where you want to keep playing the game because you're winning games, and losing again enough so that you want to play again so you can win, right? That's the balance. But enemy scaling doesn't have that. You don't have that payoff at the end. Now, I want to clarify again. I'm level 35 in Diablo 4. I've played it for, I don't know, 14, 15 hours now. I've been playing it with my brother who's been streaming it, and it's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it a lot. I haven't gotten to the Paragon stuff yet. With the time I've got in the game, though, again, having come from Destiny and Destiny 2, I can already tell that this is something that's going to bother me. Substantially so. Some of the best moments in looter games are those moments where you get rewards, weapons, or armor that either provide you with a significant damage buff and you can just shit on everything, or provide you with some sort of health or debuff benefit to where you can just tank a lot of things. There's two different kinds of power fantasies there. Either wiping enemies out instantaneously, or being able to take so many more enemies on at a time because you are so much stronger. Enemy scaling gets rid of both of those. You cannot have either one of those. And the thing with this is, there doesn't seem to be any payoff in Diablo. I do the cellars with my brother when we're playing. We've done a couple of the dungeons. We go for the chests. We collect the drops from enemies. And even when it's higher level, you never feel it. I've never picked up anything in this game where I've been like, wow, that was such a good pickup. I'm glad I got that because it's given me a damage buff, or it's buffed one of my abilities. And I can tell. It doesn't just say that. It's not that it says that on screen. It's that I can actually tell, because it's one thing to have the game tell you that it does something, right? It's another thing whether or not you can actually tell it's doing that thing, right? It might say that it's buffing your damage by plus 13, but in the game you can't feel it. You don't see it. You don't see that interaction. So it's like, okay, well, how do I know you're actually doing that or not, though? And even if you are doing it, is it significant enough to make a difference? And again, that's where the level or the enemy scaling comes in, right? You cannot, because of the way Diablo 4 is fundamentally baked, to my understanding, you cannot have that happen because of the way that it's designed. You can't have an armor piece or a weapon drop with a perk on it. Again, randomly rolled perks, much like Destiny 2. You cannot have those drop that provide you with an extreme benefit, because you wouldn't tell, because it scales. So you become more powerful, your enemies become more powerful, and you stay at a fairly even playing field. At some point, that sucks all the fun out of the game, because you're never going to round a corner and get a weapon that just absolutely slaps. You're never going to round a corner and get a piece of armor that absolutely is just phenomenal because it keeps you alive. The only item I have gotten in Diablo 4 that I literally will never take off ever, is the one amulet that you get. I don't remember the gentleman, the character that dies. I think his name is Davis. Um, he's in an Iron Maiden armored suit during one of the fights. It's pretty early in the game, and the amulet creates a bubble. Destiny players don't talk about it. It's like a Titan bubble around your character when you take a certain amount of damage, and you're immune in that bubble. You cannot take any damage at all. That's literally the one and only thing in that game that will never leave my character. I will never take that off. It's the one thing that I can say gives me an advantage over enemies, and that's it. That's it. I'm a sorcerer. I play sorcerer. I always go for magic in fantasy games just because it's a cool concept. Um, and none of the abilities feel like they should. And I don't know if it's a feedback problem between the game, the controller, and me, but none of them feel like they're worth all of the time and the points into these skill trees. They don't feel like they pay off. And that's not a good feeling as a gamer. This is real time that I'm putting into these games. This is 14 hours, 15 hours of my life that I'll never get back again. I've invested it in this because it's fun. I'm not discounting that it's fun. And I like the game. I want to make that clear. I like Diablo 4. But there's no golden goose. There's no item I've received yet, aside from the amulet, that has added to the power fantasy, either making me stronger and thus being able to take on more enemies, or making me stronger and thus being able to deal massively more damage to enemies. Neither one of those. And the thing that's so funny about this too is you can tell that the Diablo devs knew this was a problem, and this is why they include those shrines. You know, like if you play Diablo 4, you're probably familiar with those shrines where you pray at them or whatever, and you turn into like this little ball of lightning, and you can like zip all around, and it's just like instant blep enemies. You can tell that they are aware of the fact that the way that the game is designed, the fact that you don't have access to the ability to have something even remotely close to that is a problem, and that's why they drop it in the game in certain little areas. So you get a taste. It's almost like it's a tease in a way of what the power you can get to would be like. 35 levels in, 15 hours. And I've not seen it yet. I've not seen it yet. And I can already tell that it's going to be something that's going to drastically cut the time that I'm willing to put into this game, aside from playing it with my brother. Aside from playing it with him, I know it's going to take time out of it. I'm not going to leave Destiny 2. I wouldn't leave Destiny 2 anyway at this point. It's like a marriage. I've got way too much time invested into this thing to just throw it out the window. But I wouldn't leave Destiny 2 for this. I really wouldn't. You don't have those power fantasy moments. In Destiny 2, you have jumping. You have, and there's all kinds, well, yeah, and let's get into that other utility, right? So in Destiny 2, you've got jumping, class abilities, melees, grenades, supers. You can build your basic neutral game character, or your neutral game, using aspects, fragments, and weapons in some cases, to be able to play into your super without actually having your super, or the benefits that your subclass you're rocking provides. For example, you can rock an aspect for Void, where every time that when you get a Void kill, it creates a Void breach. When you pick the breach up, it grants you an overshield. You can do the same thing with Solar, where when you activate this aspect, I believe it's one of the aspects, no, it's a fragment, you then can heal yourself, right? And then every time you get a kill with a solar weapon, it refreshes the timer. So you're constantly able to heal yourself so long as you're able to get those kills. So you have this really intricate synergy that happens. Again, Diablo so far doesn't seem to have that. It feels an awful lot like a button mash simulator. And I don't like those kinds of games. They bother me because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of thought built into it. Now again, 35 levels in, 14, 15 hours, there could be these systems. There could be a crafting system, genuine crafting system. I don't know. I've not seen it yet. There could be a genuine way to meaningfully augment your abilities and your weapons to provide you with some kind of a power fantasy. Again, I've not seen that yet. I agreed with the tweet. I think that the level scaling or the enemy scaling is absolutely a bad idea. It takes all of the fun out of the game. I'm not asking to be able to destroy everything in the game. I play a lot of Destiny 2, as I've said before. Anybody who plays Destiny 2 and is honest with themselves can admit the fact that strikes, as they stand, just general, average, ordinary, everyday strikes that you queue up for, are some of the easiest content in the game. Because we have gotten so powerful as Guardians, we just walk all over everything. One person can do a strike. You can have 3 people spawn in, one person can go do the whole strike. If they know what they're doing, it's very simple. It's incredibly easy, right? I'm not asking for that. But I am asking for those super moments where in Destiny 2, I'm a hunter main. I pop a blade barrage and I throw these burning explosive knives out, and I have this moment where I just destroy that group of enemies, or I damage a boss by a substantial margin. Or I also play Titans, so I pop a bubble and I save the teammates around me. I prevent them from dying from a boss. I give them a chance to get reses if they need to, reload their weapons, scavenge for armor, move to cover, cut off a choke point. Don't have that in Diablo so far. And what I think is most likely is the hype train is really high for Diablo. It's getting very good scores. Once the hype train dies down, I think that the game is going to suffer. I think it's going to suffer. I think you're going to see people who moved from Destiny 2 and other looters into Diablo, once they realize that that power fantasy seemingly is not in the game anywhere. You don't have those moments like you do in Destiny 2. You're going to see them go right back again. You're going to see them be pulled back into having those power fantasy moments. Now, the last thing I want to say here really quickly is Bungie does institute or has instituted level scaling, enemy scaling, right? So Grandmaster Nightfalls, the enemies are all higher level than you are. Master Nightfalls are all higher level than you are. They're not scaled to your level. They're higher level than you are, and the game will it'll essentially kneecap your power to a certain point, so you can't ever cross a certain threshold. Same thing is true with legendary campaigns for Witch Queen and Lightfall. They added that because they wanted the campaigns to be more challenging and more rewarding. And both of the campaigns were all right. Witch Queen was much better than Lightfall, but I didn't mind Lightfall's campaign terribly much. It was a bit disjointed, but it wasn't too bad. But Legendary was a lot of fun. It added a lot of challenge to the game. So Bungie does have these systems too. So this Bungie dev saying what he said without adding, without having the self-awareness to acknowledge the fact that they do it also does seem kind of silly. But again, I think in Destiny it's offset because of supers. It's offset because of the way you can interact with your subclasses with weapons and abilities. It's offset by having access to these moments where, yes, your enemies are more powerful than you in 90% of the combat. 90% of the time in Grandmaster Nightfall. But you have access to a super that levels the playing field or slightly elevates it in your favor. 90% of the time, that boss would destroy you in an instant. But the super is your literally ace in the hole. It gives you a moment to be able to flex power towards the enemies. Diablo so far doesn't have that. Doesn't have that. I play sorcerer. I like fire. I'm a pyro in real life, so I use a lot of fire magic in the game. The ult for the pyromancer skill line or whatever is it's a snake that you create and it spins in a circle, right? It's a constrictor. It spins in a circle and you can upgrade it so that it pulls enemies in, spins in a circle and deals burn damage, and it comes out and then it comes back in again, and it essentially is burning them the whole time. It's so pitifully weak. It's so pitifully weak. You know what I use that for? I don't use it for the damage on the thing. I use it for crowd control. I use it to keep enemies bunched together, to pull them away from me, to buy me some time. The ultimate abilities don't feel like ultimates. They don't feel like they're able to give you, like, the game's description says that they, like, devastate the battlefield or something like that. It's like, no, they don't. They don't provide you with that power fantasy moment. What I would like to see from Diablo going forward, Diablo 4, is when ESO, again, I played ESO a lot. When ESO came out, ultimate abilities were not in the game. They added that at player request, and they went back and they handcrafted and coded brand new abilities into the game, ultimates. Every single one of the classes has access to an ultimate now, and the sorcerer ones are really good. There are, like, there's one for the element sorcerer where you conjure a circle that has lightning and ice and snow and fire, and it's just every element combined into this sphere for max damage. The one for the conjurer or the conjuration skill line is you essentially channel a beam of dark energy into an enemy and deals mass damage. For the healer, for the sorcerer, you create this aura field that heals allies when they're standing inside of it. I would like to see going forward Diablo 4 either revisit and buff the ultimates so they actually feel like ultimates and make it worth putting points into, or create brand new ones. Actual ultimate abilities. Actual things that make it so that you are exceedingly, you have a moment where you are more powerful than the enemies around you. Something needs to change there, because I see that being an issue in the long term. I agree with the Bungie dev. I think he's right. I think the way he phrased it, not so much. If you're a person who likes getting slapped in the balls by enemies from the first moment you turn the game on till the last moment that you decide to play that game ever, period ever, good for you. Diablo you'll probably like. And again, I like Diablo. I think it's fun. Diablo 4, it's a fun game, especially if you're playing with other people. It's a lot of fun. But, if you're looking for those power fantasy moments where you get to flex on your enemies, this is not the game for you. You won't find it there. I hope to see some changes. I don't think there will be any, but I just wanted to chime in and give my 2 cents on this. So, adios. I'm out.